With that said, I would now like to turn the meeting over to Mr. Joe Gilbert, who is the CEO, the boss, the head man at G.R.S. Management.
I have to make it clear that my wife is the boss, I'm not. If I don't say that, I'm always in trouble, so. She's not here.
She's not here.
Anybody's going to be talking to her. Anyway, to summarize, or to move forward from what Saul is saying, I'm more inclined to talk about where you are today and where you're going and what you need to do. And I'm just going to start that by saying the board has an audit being performed for 2008. When we took over, it was a little bit exciting with the records that we received.
Bet it was.
The auditor was in today, and he's pretty much assured me that he's tracked down what he needs to get 2008 done. So a lot of this stuff Saul's talking about will all be fixed with the audit. There's stuff paid in 2009 that was 2008. He's going to throw it back and put it into 2008. So when he gets completed, we'll have a true picture of what happened from there. But what I'd like to do is start at August 31st and move forward. And if I look at your financial statements at August 31st, you know what? You paid all of your bills. Nobody's behind being paid. If you look at it from a true cash flow perspective, you're about equal. I mean, you're actually a couple $1,000s ahead. If you look at it from a financial perspective, you're right there with $1,000. You're not filthy rich, but you're not in trouble. The reason that you're there with everything that's all said is because people aren't paying. I mean, you've got. What we do is we have just chosen, and generally we recommend to the boards to set up a bad debt allowance. What that means is anybody that owes you more than 90 days, we show that as an allowance against your receivables because we don't anticipate that you're going to collect that anywhere in the near future. So don't count on that to pay your bills. We're not stopping trying to collect it. You're going to collect it. You're not going to collect all of it. You're going to collect some of it. You're going to collect attorney fees, but nobody knows when you're going to collect it. It's going to happen. It could be next week. It could be next year. It could be over the next 5 years. But the state passed a law saying that if nothing else, you're going to get at least the last 12 months worth of assessments back. So with that being said, the position that you're in, some of it's coming back. What we're looking at, we've recommended to the board going forward is today you have, if we use the assumption and we take anybody that owes you more than 2 months assessments as of August 31st, you have 45 people. So based on that, we just made the assumption for the next 4 months you're not going to collect the money from 45 people, which is about $8,500 a month, which is about $34,000. We've recommended and talked to the board about stopping the funding of the reserves for the next 4 months until you get your cash flow back. That would save the association about $16,000. Your new landscape contract is saving you a couple $1,000s a month. That would save you about $8,000. So if in fact these 45 people don't pay, you're going to be short $34,000, but you're going to gain back $24,000 by not funding the reserves and the savings and the landscaping, which would leave you with a $10,000 deficit. There are some questions about all legal fees. We're trying to get all that resolved with your old attorney. That could be $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. So based on those assumptions, you could potentially be about $16,000 or $17,000 short this year, assuming that many people don't pay. But there are a few contingencies to consider. Number one, in reality, if some of those people pay, you're not going to be $16,000 short. If a lot of them pay, you could actually be ahead, but we don't know that's going to happen. If more people stop paying, you're going to be further behind, but we don't know whether that's going to happen. As a bright side, you have $60,000 sitting in your reserve account. And I'm never an advocate for using your reserves for anything other than reserves, but you know what? If you got a problem in paying your bills, at least you have the backup so that you're going to be able to get your bills paid. Obviously all this, doesn't take into consideration any unforeseen expenses. We have a hurricane next month, and everything that I've talked about, is going to be different. So that leaves the board with a few options. Number one, they could revise the 2009 budget, take this $20,000 into consideration, charge everybody more. That's probably, we're almost at the end of the year. That's probably not the best thing to do. They could do a special special assessment, which probably isn't what I would recommend. What they could do, and we would probably recommend, is just continue through the end of the year. If we have a problem, you have the reserves there, you could utilize that. We did speak with the attorney. You have the ability to do that. If the board, in order for the board, and I actually haven't even shared this with you, in order for the board to actually waive these reserves for the next 4 months, they would have to revise your budget for 2009. The way they do that, they got to notices out, just pass a motion to reduce the budget by $16,000. That's something that they could do in the future when they're passing the 2010 budget. So, with all of that said and done, it certainly doesn't look like, unless something really crazy happens, that you're going to have a problem getting through 2009. With that being said, you've got the issue with not funding the reserves, and if you have a deficit for 2009, then that would be something that would be taken up in your 2010 budget. Again, based on your budget, those amounts are astronomical. Looking at it, if more people start paying, you're not going to have a problem in 2010. If more people stop paying, you are going to. If you get caught up with some of these people that are behind, you're not going to have an issue. Unfortunately, today, none of us know what's going to happen. Are you in a great position? Now, are you in the worst position I've seen? I've got a community that got 250 out of 400 people not paying. So, be a bright side. We get others where there's, you know what, they've only got 3 people that aren't paying. They're talking to the cable company. It's obviously, it's upsetting that you have to pay the cable for all the people that aren't paying their assessments, but you have a contract, you can't get out of it. Your attorney's working on trying to fix that. There are different things. At this point, the cable company really hasn't come out and said anything because they've got a contract and they can collect all the money from you. There's been a lot of pressure put on them because it's just, obviously it's just not right for them to be making all these communities pay for people that aren't paying them. But whether you'll get any relief from that is yet to be seen. As an overview, you're going to have the 2008 audit done, which will straighten out that. And looking at this, it's not a beautiful picture, but from my estimation, when you're bankrupt, you really don't have an issue. I don't see where, unless something crazy happens, you're going to have a problem paying your bills. And, even worst case, if you pass your budget for 2010 and things don't get better, worst case is sometime in the middle of 2010, you may have to revise it to do something. If things get better, you could actually have excess funds in 2010 from the money that you collected from, you've got $100,000 outstanding from people that owe you for the past couple of years. So at some point, that's going to get cleaned up. So it's not wonderful, but it's really not anywhere near catastrophic.